We're all using AI now, right? It writes our emails, our poems, sometimes even our code. But have you ever stopped to think, when a large language model writes something, what do those words actually mean? Today, we're going to dig into the philosophy of it all to get a better handle on what's really happening behind the screen.
Okay, so let's just jump right in. This is the big one, isn't it? The question that always kicks things off. You see these incredibly fluent, sometimes brilliant outputs, and you can't help but wonder, is there a genuine mind behind the curtain? Or is it just a super fancy parrot, just mimicking patterns from all the text it's been fed without actually understanding any of it?
But here's where it gets really interesting. A lot of philosophers who study language are starting to say, hey, maybe we're all stuck on the wrong debate here. They think that by focusing so much on what's going on inside the machine's head, we're actually missing a much better, much more useful way to think about the meaning of its words. So here's the big pivot. We're going to stop trying to be amateur neuroscientists for a machine that doesn't have a brain, and instead, we're going to focus on the one thing we can actually see and analyze, the language it produces. This is where the philosophy really starts to get good. This slide just lays out the shift perfectly. A philosopher named Grindrod argues we should stop asking about mental intentionality, whether the AI believes what it says, and instead, we should be asking about linguistic intentionality. So the crucial point isn't, does the AI have a mind, but rather, do its words actually work? Do they function meaningfully within the system of language that we all use? It's a game changer. Let's make sure we've got this idea locked down. Linguistic meaning is meaning that works because it plugs into a system we all share. I mean, think about it. We understand what texts about Aristotle mean without ever having access to his private thoughts. The words have meaning because of their place in our shared history and language. The argument is, maybe the same exact thing is true for AI text.
All right, let's build on that with another really powerful idea. What if we think about language not as a way of pointing at things, but as a kind of complex social game? A game with a very specific and very important set of rules.
So this school of thought is called inferentialism, and it basically says that a word gets its meaning from the role it plays in our conversations and our reasoning. If you know how to use the word lion correctly, what other things you're committing to when you say it, then you understand its meaning. It doesn't even matter if you've ever seen a real one. It's all about knowing the rules.
So here's how this game is played. A player, and that player can be a human or an AI, makes a statement. That's their move. Now, that move automatically commits them to other stuff. For example, if you say, that's a lion, you're now also on the hook for it being a mammal, a carnivore. You get the idea. And the community, that's all of us, we hold that player accountable. This whole interconnected web of rules and responsibilities, that's what creates meaning. So when an AI starts playing this game with us, it gets caught in the same web of rules.
Okay, but if an AI is now a player in our language game, then we have to talk about ethics. Because what happens when a player just doesn't care about the rules, especially the rule about telling the truth? This brings us to a real philosophical concept called bullshit. And no, it's not just about lying. A liar actually knows the truth. They're just trying to hide it. A bullshitter? Well, they don't care one way or the other. They just say whatever they need to say to get a certain effect. And this is a huge risk with some language models, which are designed to be plausible, not necessarily truthful. And that's the real danger, you see. It's not just about the model being wrong sometimes. It's that a constant flood of this stuff, of bullshit, can wear away our shared belief that truth even matters. It threatens the very foundation of the language game we're all trying to play. So to fight this, some ethicists are saying we need to move past just making AI safe. We need to aim for appropriateness, which means asking three things. First, on a technical level, is the language even coherent? Does it make sense? Second, on a social level, does it get the context? Is it talking to a buddy or a boss? And third, and most importantly, on a moral level, does it uphold our values and avoid causing harm? It's a much smarter, more complete way to think about building responsible AI. Okay, so we've touched on language, rules, and ethics. Let's pull it all together now into one big, final idea, and that is, meaning isn't made by the human alone or by the machine alone. It's something they have to create together. This is what's called the ecological view. And it's pretty simple, really. It just says we should stop trying to find meaning inside any one part of the system. Instead, meaning just sort of emerges from the whole interaction. The human user, the machine's output, the social setting, and the shared rules of language they're both using. And here's a really cool way to think about the different parts they play. Human language is autopoietic. That's a fancy word, but think of it like a living thing. It's self-creating, messy, and totally tied to our real-world physical experiences. Machine output, on the other hand, is allopoietic. It's made by an external process, like a tool. And here's the kicker. We, the living, breathing, autopoietic beings, are the ones who take that tool-like output and we weave it into our world. We give it a job to do. We give it its meaning.
To really get a feel for this ecological view, let's end with a metaphor. Picture our entire shared system of language as this huge, powerful river that's been flowing and carving its path for thousands of years.
Now, these AI language models, they're like brand new tributaries pouring into that river, and they are bringing a massive volume of water, of data, that they've gathered from all those upstream texts. They don't have their own source, their own spring of intention, but the moment their output joins our human river, the whole combined flow starts to change the landscape, creating new patterns, new eddies, and carving out entirely new channels of meaning.
And that leaves us with one final and I think really critical question. This new combined river we're creating is incredibly powerful and honestly pretty unpredictable. So the question isn't really whether the machine is thinking. The real question is about our role in this new linguistic world. As we let these powerful new streams flow into our lives, who's responsible for steering the course? What kind of world do we want our words, all of our words, to create?